Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün New York'un en prestijli üniversitelerinden Clarkson University'de lisans eğitimini Colleen'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Colleen, the stage is yours now.
Wonderful. So I just want to say hello to everyone. It's still morning here in the eastern part of the United States. So I'm tempted to just say good morning and hope that you're well wherever you are. My name is Colleen Tapalia, and I'm the Senior Director of Graduate Recruitment and Enrollment Marketing here at Clarkson University. So I also help the undergraduate recruitment, and I'm here to talk about our undergraduate programs today. I hope as long as it's fine with all of you that I'm going to go ahead and start my slide presentation. At the end, I'll be very happy to take all of your questions, and I hope you have a lot of questions. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I have to just remember how to share my screen. And let's get started from the beginning of my presentation. Okay, hold on here. First I share. Okay. So can everyone see the slide presentation, I hope?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, good. I'm going to just repeat briefly the information about myself. And that was a pre-pandemic haircut. Now I'm in my post-pandemic phase, hopefully. My email address is there, and I'll give that to you again at the end so you don't have to rush and scribble anything down. I'll be more than happy to be in contact with any of you or all of you who are interested to find out more after we finish today. I mentioned that I represent Clarkson University, and I just wanted to share that our main campus is located in Potsdam, New York, which you can see at the northern part of New York State. New York is the section in gold, and the surrounding states are in light green, with our Canadian neighbors to the north in light blue. So you can see that Potsdam is much closer to the Canadian border than it is to New York City. We're in a more rural part of New York State, but still a place with a lot going on. And our Capital Region campus is located in Schenectady. That's where I personally work. But all of our undergraduate programs are located on the main campus in Potsdam. So if Clarkson is new to you, you might wonder, why would I want to study there? And I thought I would share a few of the rankings and other accolades that we get talking about the validity and desirability of a Clarkson education. We're a top-tier national university as ranked by U.S. News and World Report, which comes out with those rankings every year. A number of rankings that have to do with the return on investment, or ROI, of a college education include Clarkson at the top of the list. You can see that the pay scale report puts us in the top 3% for salary potential, and there are others that focus on that aspect as well. We're also by Forbes listed as a top STEM college. Clarkson is known to a large degree for our engineering programs as well as our science degrees. We also offer some very strong business programs, which I'll talk about in a little bit. In terms of what's happening with our graduates, these are the results for our class of 2020, the group that graduated right into the middle of the pandemic. And you can see that even at that uncertain time, 75% of our students were employed after graduation. 17% decided to go on to postgraduate study in master's or PhD programs. 5% went on to other types of alternatives. And for this, we would think of things like service programs or the military, religious service, things like that. So we have a 97% placement rate in total. This is an overview of the things I'm going to talk about in terms of undergraduate degrees that we offer, admission requirements to get into Clarkson, deadlines, our cost of attendance, some information about scholarships, which I know is of high interest to students all over the world. So I hope you'll stay with me up until that point. And then we'll talk a little bit about the student experience and residential experience at Clarkson. I promise not to make it too long. Okay, I think there was supposed to be a slide there. Undergraduate majors in our arts and sciences include quite a lot of science, as you'll see, things like math and statistics, biology, biomolecular science, chemistry, etc. There are some arts or humanities degrees at the undergraduate level. We generally don't have these at the postgraduate level, but at the undergraduate level, we do offer communication, digital arts and sciences. Those are two pretty popular majors, as well as political science and psychology. Continuing on to even more undergraduate majors, you can see that we have some environmental programs, and then we have a number of business programs. Our business programs are accredited by AACSB, which is the highest accreditation you can obtain in business. Our business majors have names that you might not recognize, but they are very robust. There's a lot of analytical study in our business majors. And if you're interested in something like marketing, that can be worked into any of the majors. The same with accounting or human resources. There's coursework in all of those things that you might think of as majors, but we do them as concentrations within these business majors. And then you see our engineering programs. These are all ABET accredited, which is a specific engineering accreditation. And we have a wide range there, everything from aeronautical to software engineering and everything in between. So if you saw something among those majors that was interesting to you and you think you might want to apply to Clarkson University, I would urge you to use the Common app. We do also have a Clarkson app, which is a bit shorter, but if you've already started a Common app, it's easy just to add Clarkson. We need transcripts of your high school study. That would be grades 9 through 12. But if you're in grade 12 and you don't have your diploma yet, you can go ahead and send the transcripts for grades 9 through 11 and whatever you have completed so far in grade 12. You need 2 letters of recommendation. You do not need to send the SAT or ACT. It is optional. If you've taken it and you think it reflects well on your application overall, I would say go ahead and send the scores. But we do not require them. We do, however, require a test of English proficiency, such as TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, or Duolingo. I would just pause here and say, if you are in an international curriculum high school, such as IB or doing A-levels, we can accept test scores from within that framework to meet our English proficiency requirement. In terms of deadlines, our early decision deadline is December 1st. Our regular decision deadline is January 15th. We will accept applications after January 15th on a rolling basis. We do understand that international students have very different academic calendars and follow different patterns than we do here in the US. So we don't hold people to those particular deadlines unless you're applying for a specific scholarship. And I'll get to that in just a minute. We offer credit for certain exams, which helps meet requirements at Clarkson. So if you are taking AP classes, if you're doing A-levels or IB, you can give us those exam results, and we will look at those for transfer credit. Advanced placement credit on tests or examinations is limited to 30 credits, and that would cover your entire freshman year of study. The advantage of obtaining credit for these exams is that it shortens the time needed to complete your degree. And if you cover a semester or 2 semesters with these exams, that's a semester or 2 of tuition that you don't have to pay. So there can be a financial benefit as well for all of the effort that high school seniors put into taking these types of exams. The cost of attendance at Clarkson is the tuition, $54,000 plus room and board. And for issuance of an I-20, the International Center at Clarkson requires documentation of that amount. But I don't want you to be too panicked at the cost, because this can include the scholarship funds that you're offered at the time of admission. So the scholarship can help you meet that cost of attendance. And our scholarships are available to all admitted students. You are automatically considered for our international scholarship, which is a merit scholarship. And this can range up to $35,000 a year, or maybe a little bit more. And that's renewable for all 4 years of the bachelor's degree. We have 2 competitive scholarships. One is called the Ignite Presidential Fellowship, and those are available to all admitted students, both international and US. But in the last couple of years, at least 1 or 2 of the recipients of that fellowship have been international students. Then we have 2 partial scholarships that cover $45,000 per year, and those are offered only to international students. For those, you really do have to meet the January 15th deadline. You cannot be considered for these if you apply after the deadline. These are competitive. We don't make the decision until after the deadline, and we have a chance to read all of the submissions. The application for these is included on the checklist when you start an application for admission, and then you can either provide a video or an essay in order to apply to these 2 competitive scholarships. I'm not sure exactly why I included a picture of someone in the snow to talk about co-ops and internships, but I do want to point out that Clarkson is in the northern part of New York State. So we have all 4 seasons, and that includes the winter. So hopefully you'll find fun and exciting things to do in the winter so that you can enjoy all of the different opportunities we have in the northern part of New York State. But on to co-ops and internships, because these are really helpful in at least 2 different ways. One is that co-ops and internships can be paid. Some are unpaid, but many of them are paid. And so that's one way that you can get some work experience and earn some money while you're a student. The other way that these are helpful is that you gather work experience so that when you graduate, you have recent, hopefully enthusiastic references to give when you apply for a job in the United States. Most programs, I should say more than many, most programs at Clarkson require this kind of professional experience as a graduation requirement. And international students can engage in internship or co-op after 1 year of academic study. So that's 2 semesters. The Career Center is available to help students identify opportunities and to complete applications to be a good candidate for co-ops and internships. So they really do help with those excellent career outcomes that I talked about right at the beginning when we started. In terms of residential life, I wanted to point out that Clarkson is a 4-year residential campus. Most students stay on campus the entire time they study at Clarkson. One of the nice things, especially after the first year, is students can move into what are called living learning communities. And those are based around shared interests. And so some examples that I mentioned there include a community that's called Outdoor Enthusiasts. One dormitory has a gamers floor. There's a group for women in science and engineering. And then there's a cultural enrichment group as well as a sustainability group. So you can see that there are lots of ways that you can connect with people who share interests with you, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom as well. Finally, students can stay on campus during breaks, and if you have some research or a job on campus over the summer, housing is available then as well. I wanted to share a copy of our view book. You just need to use that QR code and it'll take you to a copy of our view book where you can flip through and you'll see a lot of photographs there, as well as some other factoids and infographics to help you get a sense of whether Clarkson could really be the right place for you academically, as well as socially, so that you'll know when you apply that we're potentially a really good fit for you. And I promised that I would give my email address again at the end. So here it is. I'll put it in the chat box while I'm taking questions as well, just to make sure everyone has a way to get in touch with me. But you can see the email address is INTL for international, ADM for admission. So INTL, ADM at clarkson.edu. And that's a photograph of one of our campus buildings during a beautiful sunset that I wanted to share with you. It's really a gorgeous place physically in terms of the climate and the facilities. So you have a good experience with your faculty, you have a beautiful environment and great career potential at Clarkson. So I hope that you'll ask me a lot of questions and we can go from there. I'm going to stop sharing now, I think. And why is my cursor not doing its thing? Okay. Oh, I love to see those little smiley faces popping up in the little bubbles. That's great. Thank you. Oh, and thumbs up. Thank you. I appreciate the positive feedback. That's lovely. So should I read the questions, or Zeynep, are you going to read the questions for me? Someone asked, what are the criteria for scholarships? That's an excellent question. We look at the entire application, so we're looking not only at your grades in your classes, but your English proficiency scores, what your recommenders said about you in their letters. We look at your extracurricular activities, and we try to be as generous as possible. It's important to note that we only offer merit-based scholarships. We do not offer need-based scholarships. So the way to maximize your scholarship is to persuade us how fabulous you are with your academics and everything else you have to offer. Is there any financial help for exchange students? So if you're coming on an exchange, then you pay the tuition at your home university and come to Clarkson. Those are done with specific arrangements between Clarkson and another university. So if you are at a university that has an exchange agreement with Clarkson, you can email me and I'll put you in touch with the right person for that. Someone else asked, what AP subjects do you ask for psychology degree? We don't have any specific requirements. Any exams that you take can be used for Clarkson credit. I think the statistics class might be very helpful, for example, something like that. Probably classes within your major, your faculty are going to prefer that you take at Clarkson, but an introductory class would be fine. How many credits max we take per year at undergraduate degrees? Typically, students take 15 credits per semester, and they study for 8 semesters, and that's a total of 120 credits. If you take more credits in the fall and the spring, maybe you can do a co-op in the following fall.
Hi, Colleen, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I think you mistakenly stopped your sharing. Could you please share your screen again?
Hold on. Yes, I will do that. You wanted me to keep my presentation up?
Yes, please.
Okay. Like that?
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh dear, what did I do? Okay, if I do that, then I cannot see the questions. I think that's why I stopped sharing.
Okay, sorry then.
So if you, let's see if I can make that work. Okay, here we go. Now I fixed it. Let me just keep answering questions then. Does that make sense? Does Clarkson University have a cycling club? That I do not know. I know that there are some very committed bicycle enthusiasts. Clarkson is located near the Adirondack Mountains, so there are flat areas and there are also very mountainous areas. So it's a great area for biking. How about living expenses, especially accommodation? Yeah, we don't prefer that. We don't let students stay off of campus, especially in the first year. I know you might prefer to live off campus to try and save money, but that's not possible during the first year. So those costs that I shared earlier, let me see if I can go back in my presentation to the cost. So the room and board cost is about $16,000 for the academic year. Transportation facilities, there are buses within Potsdam, and the university runs some transportation as well. You also asked about a digital marketing major. I would go back to the business majors, and you might want to look at business intelligence and data analytics, because that's where the marketing is headed these days. But you could combine that with the digital arts and sciences. So you could do a major in digital arts and sciences with a business minor, and then you'd be all set. I'm trying to, does Clarkson University, okay, I think I answered that. Is it possible to transfer credit from a Turkish university? Yes, it would be possible. We would need an official transcript. We might ask for some course descriptions, but it is possible to transfer credit if you've already started a university degree in your own country. Can international student get a work permit during the undergraduate study? Unfortunately, not during the first year. International students are eligible to work on campus at any time during their studies without a work permit. But if you are going to work off campus, you need special authorization. So for a co-op or an internship that's associated with your study, you would be able to get work authorization. To get a part-time job in a restaurant or something like that, you would not be eligible for work authorization. So your options are work off campus in a position related to your degree, like a co-op or an internship, or work on campus. Those are the two options. I think I answered all of those. Okay. I think I answered all of those. Let me look in the chat. There might be other questions there, I think. Those are mostly people saying hello. That was wonderful. Okay. So I'm happy. Okay, does Clarkson University give athletic scholarships? That is a wonderful question. We are a Division III NCAA school. And in Division III, we do not offer athletic scholarships. We are Division I for ice hockey, which I'm not sure how much you play in Turkey, but the men's and women's ice hockey team do offer scholarships. But things like soccer or football, you would call it, track and field, those kinds of things, we do not offer scholarships. But there's a potential to participate. I'm trying to think of other questions that people often ask me so that I can make sure that I don't miss anything that you'll want to know about. I'm I should mention, I'm not sure I did mention, Clarkson is a research university. We offer degrees at the master's and PhD levels. So the advantage of that is that undergraduate students can get involved in research as well and gain experience doing direct empirical research, working with faculty or with graduate students. And each year there are many students whose research is accepted for conference presentations, both student conferences and regular professional conferences. And there's funding at the university you can apply for to help you actually go to the conference and present there and gain that professional experience as a researcher. So you don't have to be a postgraduate student in order to participate in research. We just had our career fair recently, and even now with the pandemic still happening, we had a lot of employers come from all over the country. And I know on the map it looked like Clarkson is not near any big major cities, but the employers come from all over to recruit our students. Clarkson students, not just international students, but the US students as well at Clarkson, have a great reputation for being extremely hardworking people and for being talented at working in groups. That's a skill that employers really, really appreciate. Because of the style of education we do, which is very hands-on, students do a lot of laboratory work and things like that, and they have to work in groups quite a lot. Because of that, our students go into the workplace extremely well prepared and able to work with people who are different from themselves, which is also a great workplace skill. And that's why we had at our career fair employers from so many different parts of the US coming specifically to recruit and hire Clarkson students. So Clarkson students often start attending the career fair even before their final year. They attend from their freshman year, and sometimes they build up relationships with these employers by stopping by the booth every year just to check in with them. Someone asked, what programs are the most advantageous for career in the US? I hesitate to try and direct students in one way or the other, because the best program for you is the one that you're going to stick with and be passionate about. But I would say data science is something that employers really want to see in almost all types of industries. So as I said, if you're a digital arts and sciences major, you might want to take some data science classes so that you can interpret the data that comes in. Let's say you design a website. You need to be able to manipulate and understand the data on the website utilization. So anything with data science, I think, is very applicable and very much in demand. The same is true always true with computer science. But I think this pandemic has caused people really to think about what interests them. And so we have seen an uptick in interest in bioscience, biomolecular science on the graduate level. We have a biotechnology degree. All of those degrees, I think, are particularly interesting right now. Is campus expensive in general, like food? Is the next question. Students participate in a meal plan. So you pay a flat rate per semester for a certain number of meals per week in the dining hall. And then you don't have to worry about the cost of each individual meal. So it might seem expensive at the beginning when you have to pay for the whole thing, but you're able to have as many meals as you want up to the number that you've paid for in advance per week. Can you inform us about the housing options? Freshman students or first-year students typically live in double rooms, meaning they share with one roommate. And there are different residence halls around campus where there are double rooms. Single rooms are not available until the second, usually the third year, when there's a housing lottery and you choose based on where you came up in the lottery. So if you get number one, you get to pick first. But the first year, you'll almost definitely have a roommate. And it's a very walkable campus. So once you're on campus, you don't need to worry too much. I did mention that we have all 4 seasons, including winter. One of the things I like about the main campus in Potsdam is that the academic buildings are all connected. I'm trying to remember where in my slides that I have the picture. There it is. So you can see in this picture, there's a walkway above the heads of the students, and all of the buildings are connected with those walkways. So once you get to campus, you don't have to go outside again to get from class to class. And I think that's really nice. And when you're on those walkways, it's a beautiful way to see the campus. Well, the cost the question was, how much is the average monthly expense? The tuition, room and board is $16,000, and that's for about 9 months of living on campus in the fall and the spring semester. So if you do the math, which I'm quickly doing here, then the monthly expenses are around $1,800. Someone is asking, do I think it's an advantage to join Clarkson after studying at community college? If you decide to do community college first, I think the transfer pathway into Clarkson is quite simple. I would just advise you to think about what is required in the Clarkson degree you plan to transfer into. We take up to 90 credits of 120 required credits in transfer. So you just want to be sure that you're taking classes that will transfer into Clarkson. Most community college degrees are associate degrees, and those typically are around 60 credits. So you could earn half of your credits at a community college and transfer into Clarkson. I think there are some resources on our website about community colleges that we have particular agreements with to tie up. Pardon me while I took a sip of tea. I hope I've answered your question, Farda, about community college. So just let me know if there's anything else you want me to say about that in particular. Thank you for the comment about how nice campus looks. Right now is a particularly beautiful time of year on the campus. I'm going to go back to the picture I had at the very beginning. And this is what it's starting to look like now, when the leaves turn all gold and red in the fall semester. I'm happy to stay and answer more questions. I don't know if I've been talking too long, but I'm happy to stay and answer any other ones that you might have. I know that you have a lot of choices if you're applying to universities in the United States. We have a lot of fine colleges and universities available here. The one thing I'll ask you to do, though, is to consider adding Clarkson to your list of colleges and universities you're choosing to apply to, especially if we have the major that you're looking for. And let us see if there's a match to be made there. We would love to consider your application for admission and make the most generous scholarship offer possible. And hopefully we'll be able to put something together between the two of us that makes it possible for you to realize all the benefits of studying at Clarkson and then having all of the great career outcomes that come at the end. Does anyone want to ask me any general application types of questions about writing an essay or getting a letter of recommendation? Anything that you're afraid to ask anybody else, you can feel free to ask me. Well, I'm going to go back to the last slide, the one that has my email address on it, so that if you do end up with one of those questions in your mind, you can feel free to email it to me. How can I get information about Blacklist colleges? Because I'm afraid, Farda, that I don't really understand a question about Blacklist colleges. There are some colleges and universities that, it's sad, but in any industry or area of society, there are always some bad actors. So there are some, I think if you just Google them, there are some lists of, let's say, fake universities. You're going to want to be sure that the universities you apply to are accredited by one of what's called the regional accrediting bodies in the United States. So check the website of the university you're interested in to find out what type of accreditation that university has, to make sure it's a legitimate university. It's important to be a good consumer and a good, to do your due diligence, we call it, your due diligence. So I encourage you to look at each university and make sure that they're accredited. And that way you'll know that you're not being lured in by a university that's not really a legitimate place. Someone's asking, do we have any partner Turkish universities? Honestly, I don't believe so. I'll have to check on that. If you email me, I'll check and get back to you. And then someone said, where can I do my scholarship application? Like, who should I reach out to? Well, for the general scholarship, all you have to do is apply. And everyone who applies is considered for what we call a merit scholarship. And if you want to apply for one of the competitive scholarships, the Ignite Presidential Fellowship or the You Are Here Scholarship, those have a separate application, but you have to apply for admission first. And then the application for those scholarships would appear on your checklist and you could go ahead and apply. But you have to apply for admission first. We don't let you apply for a scholarship if you haven't applied for admission. I think I already answered the question about getting a work permit. Everyone who does a degree in the United States, any international student, is eligible to stay and work for 1 year after graduation. And students in the STEM fields, meaning science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, can stay an additional 2 years. So you can have a work permit for up to 3 years after you graduate. But while you are a student, you can work on campus in a part-time job up to 20 hours a week. And you can also do internships and co-ops after your first year of study. So those rules about when you can work off campus are US government rules. They're not Clarkson rules. So we just have to make sure that we follow all of those rules properly. If you do that, then there won't be any problems getting your work authorization after you graduate. It's important to stay clearly within the rules while you're a student so you can get that work authorization after you graduate. Yeah, I think I've answered all of the ones that are here.
Yes, Colleen, it looks like you covered all of the questions.
Well, they were good questions. These students are keeping me on my toes. And I'm hoping that everyone will take a look at Clarkson and make a decision about whether to apply. As you're going through your application process, whenever you have questions or wonder about anything, I'm happy to hear from you. And you can download, not download, but you can get to our undergraduate brochure using this QR code and learn a bit more that way. There are lots of different ways. So.
Yes, thank you very much for your great presentation, Colleen.
My pleasure.
Maybe you could put your email address in the chat box. So
I will put it one more time, sure.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much again. So it was a really informative session and yet another great session. Thank you for your presentation.
I was happy to spend some time with you today.
And you covered all of the questions. Thank you for your answers too. And I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well.
Sure.
Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Clarkson University ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adresinden Colleen'e ulaşabilirsiniz. Umarız sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Yarınki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Colleen. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.